finances, that my income wasn't producing enough, and actually fessing up to the truth and admitting really honestly, truthfully to myself that I need help. Okay, now for many of the women that I work with, that's the biggest step, because for me, I was living in the eastern suburbs. I was going out for lunch with my girlfriends. I was doing this. I looked good. I had a nice home and a beautiful car, and obviously clothes that I, had. But there was this element where everybody thought it was okay, but it wasn't okay. And I had this belief, and we call it the Cinderella complex, that some knight in shining armor, God only knows where from, was going to come in and rescue me, and that one day I would marry my millionaire or whatever, and my life would turn around and things would all be okay. So as women, we have this, and especially if you're, a tigress like I was, it'll be okay, and it will be okay, and it has been okay. But like an alcoholic who needs to fess up to alcoholism, or a drug addict that needs to fess up to being a drug addict, the key is to actually go, wow, I actually need help here. I need to start to take control of my finances. I need to get my power back. And that's very much where this workshop that I have, where we start to explore what's going on. There's a lot of practical tips about how you can find out. I know women who've never even paid a bill in their life. It's all taken care of. It's like the Queen by someone else, And women who feel that they can't because their husbands take care of it all, and they feel, and believe me, girls, I'm not just talking about poor women. I'm talking about all women, because we all need to fess up and have a good look at what's going on with our finances and make sure that we are in control again.
Oh, I like that, fess up. But also you said something that's very interesting. Take back your power.
Yes.
Okay. We're going to delay this commercial break because we need to go on. This is really, really interesting. Do you think women are actually afraid of their own power?
Absolutely.
Can you say that again?
Absolutely. And they're afraid of their own power around money and finance because I felt it was unfeminine, or it was not able to talk about it, and I sort of handed it over to someone else, and so many women that come to my workshop, they do come from fairly okay
families,
but someone else is taking care of it, and if their partner was to pass on or to move on, whatever the case may be, they're suddenly left going, well, wait, how do I know? What am I worth? And I don't know about in America, but certainly here in Australia, there are cases where women have signed documents, and literally, I know you look surprised, Loy, but let me tell you, it happens all the time, where they have just signed a mortgage over, where the husband perhaps has taken out more equity in the home, and when they go to the separation, they think, oh, well, I've got my house behind me, and then we find out that the house is worth nothing because it's mortgaged to the hilt, or mortgaged to its maximum capacity. So when I say take back the power, I mean, it is absolutely, not only do we have to fess up to going and looking and really determining where our money's going, where are we spending it. We do a spending diary so that we're very conscious. We change our habits around our spending. We're veering off here. But getting your power back, making sure that you know where your investments are. People just bunk it all into a superannuation fund, and then they expect someone else to take care of it for them and wonder why it's going south all the time.
So there's a question in the chat room that said, do you think sometimes women have I hate to use this term, a victim mentality?
Oh, look, absolutely. I don't like to call it a victim mentality, because I call it more the martyr mentality, and where we're feeling like, oh no, woe is me, I can't do this. And girls, a wonderful strategy, if your husbands are taking care of the finances for you, rather than barreling in there and saying, please, can I start to know where all our super is and things like that, which you are in your right and should be starting to look at, is to ask them, to perhaps do a statement of expenditure and say, well, Lorway has told me to do this, or Camilla has told me to do this. And it's a good way of saying to your husband, first of all, I'm going to do a spending diary so I know where all my money goes every month, because so many of us are unconscious in our spending. We just spend without knowing. And so doing that for a month will help to make you aware of your money and where it goes each week. And then certainly from there, you then can transfer this onto a statement of expenditure, whereby you're listing all your assets and liabilities and your credit cards. So many people don't know what rate they're paying on their cards or on their loans, the car payments. I have a client who was paid 2 extra payments on a computer a payment thing because she thought that at the end of this term it was over, but not really, because it was a lease agreement, and according to the lender, until she'd actually written to them and said, I want to buy my computer or my equipment now for $1. So, you know, you've got to get present to what's going on. You've got to go and get your power back, and just knowing, it's like being scared of something in the cupboard and running away from it, and put the torch on, girls, and go and have a good look, because once you know what's going on, and yeah, you know, things may be looking a bit grim. I mean, certainly were in my life looking very grim, and it wasn't, and I just kept knowing that I was in debt and knowing that I was in trouble and doing the wrong thing, but was really too scared to go looking. And once you go looking, and once you have it all down in front of you in black and white, only then can you start to address it. And you do come from a place of power then, because you're not just avoiding things and hoping that they're all going to go away. And that is the first step to taking back control, to getting your power back around money.
What you're talking about actually not only applies to women but men as well to a lesser extent, but they sort of like are forced in by default because, you know, they're the men. They have to look after things, and some do it better than others, and like investing, and some, you know, do it poorly. But for women, it's not a necessity. So now you're saying that basically, gender aside, it doesn't matter. Take back your power, okay? Take responsibility is what you're saying. Take ownership. And there is still the pain though, isn't there?
Well, yes, and maybe we should discuss that after the break, but certainly just to say that money is an energy. Money wants to be, the universe wants to give us money. Like it wants to give us what we want. Yeah. But it's like a flower. If I give you a pot plant and you abuse it and don't water it and stick it in the dark and you know, don't feed it and nourish it and nurture it and look after it, and you know, how do you expect it to live? How do you expect it to grow? How do you expect to prosper and flourish if you don't look after it? Well, money is the same thing. So taking responsibility for your money, knowing where, I had a client who was a total greenie, right? And she was not wearing leather and you name it, she did it. And she was lucky enough to be able to live on her investments from her portfolios of shares. And we got coaching together, and I said, well, where are your shares? Where do you have your shares invested? And she said, oh, I don't know, my accountant take care of that. And I said to her, well, I want, as part of